One of the outcomes that we've seen since October 7th, the October 7th attacks, is a surge in Jewish identification and participation in Jewish community events, regardless of denominations, age, economic status, or background. Jews, more and more, are looking to connect with other Jews and with Judaism. Hillel International, the largest Jewish campus organization, has seen its largest participation numbers ever, with a yearly increase just this past year of 17%. Sign-ups for volunteer experiences with organizations like Repair the World have doubled. And here's an interesting piece. For those that don't know about the website called Sefaria, which has really revolutionized access to Jewish texts, making just about every text that you would consider Jewish, going back as far back as the Bible and as far current as the writings of people like Rabbi Sachs, available and free and searchable and clickable and connectable. They have reported sustained engagement of over 800,000 visitors a month, up 30% from last year. So for some people, this is translated into a more public statement about their Judaism, openly and proudly wearing Jewish identifying jewelry. Seth, you told me, wears a nice big Magen David when he plays on Bourbon Street, right? Every night. Some people wearing kippot. Whatever it is, they're public about it. Yet, understandably, for other people, perhaps due to the 140% increase in reported anti-Semitic occurrences, despite their desire to increase their engagement, they only feel safe engaging with their Jewish identity in protected, closed spaces. And then comes Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the holiday where the primary mitzvah, as the rabbis of the Talmud state, is Pirsume Nisa, publicizing the miracle by lighting the lights of Hanukkah so that others can see it and be reminded of the miracle of Hanukkah. Now, you've all gotten to know me and are well aware that I take this mitzvah very seriously. I believe that the mitzvah of publicizing the miracle of Hanukkah is not only about an ancient story of oil lasting 8 days, but also that there were a group of Jews who were willing to publicly and proudly stand up for the right to be Jewish. And I believe that that miracle continues in today, in an era when it would be much easier to blend into the surrounding culture. We're still here. And that when I wear my kippah in public, in places where there aren't a lot of Jews, and little kids come up to me, as happened to me in California, in an elevator and said, "I'm Jewish too." And his mother was like embarrassed. And I said, "There's nothing." I looked at her and I said, "There's nothing to be embarrassed." And I gave the kid a high five. And he was beaming. So perhaps because I just love doing things large in general, and perhaps because I love bringing light to the world at a dark time, and perhaps because I want to inspire a sense of pride, I proudly and publicly light a very large Chanukiah. And I'm always looking for somebody to sponsor a bigger one. But I came across something that got me thinking about the power of the little candles that most Jews light around the world. The little itty-bitty ones that all of you put in your Chanukiot that last just for 35 minutes or thereabouts. They have delicate dancing flames that literally mesmerize. I could stare at them for hours just watching them. But even more than that, they are powerful from a different point of view. The halacha states that we must be able to see each unique candle differentiated from the others so that we can tell which night of Hanukkah we're on. And while with giant Chanukiot, we can see them from far away, to see the little candles, you actually have to get up close to them, a few feet away, to really see which night it is. You have to get personal with them, metaphorically. So in our Torah portion, we meet Joseph, a boy who burned a bright light with a sense of prophecy. He had God's Spirit inside him that gave him these dreams that were prophetic. And he was unable to control the magnitude of that light. And it burned people. Burned those close to him, his family. Over and over, Joseph tried to share his beautiful light of God's presence and prophecy. The Torah says, once Joseph had a dream which he told his brothers, and they hated him even more. And he said to them, hear this dream which I've dreamed. We were binding sheaves in the field when suddenly my sheaf stood up and remained upright, and your sheaves bowed down. And his brothers hated him. And then again, he dreamed another dream and told it to his brothers. Look, I have had another dream. And this time the sun, the moon, the 11 stars were bowing down to me. And his brothers were angry with him. Each time, Joseph tried to share his own light of prophecy with his brothers. It pushed them further away and further away and further. Until a time came when they were out shepherding, and Joseph was home with his dad. And Jacob, Joseph's father, sent Joseph out to check on his brothers. And the Torah tells us, Vayir'u oto merachok. They saw him from afar. On the surface, they saw him because he was about 40 miles away and he had to slowly came, and they saw him off in the distance. They saw him from afar. But we all know that the Torah is never so simple. And the Torah here is perhaps addressing a philosophical or psychological statement about how we relate to each other. We might ask, how could his own brothers even contemplate killing Joseph? Something so horrific and something bound to bring suffering to his father. And Rabbi Jonathan Sacks writes, they were able to contemplate fratricide because they saw him from a distance. The verse said, Vayir'u oto merachok, they saw him from a distance, uveterem yikra alehem v'yitnachu oto lechamito. They saw him from afar, and before he came close, they conspired to kill him. How? Because they saw him from a distance. He was a threat rather than a person. They saw his cloak, but they could not see his face. His reality as a person was hidden from them, distant physically. They did not know who Joseph was, perhaps due to Joseph's own burning too bright, perhaps due to the dynamic their father created by showing preference for a loved son over others, and perhaps due to the unwillingness to step out of their own bubble to get to know him as a person. Whatever it was, they saw him from a distance. They never took the time to understand who Joseph was, what made him tick, or perhaps even how to use Joseph's light to shine light in their own world. Perhaps if Joseph could control his flame in such a way that the brothers could approach him, there was a different outcome, but there wasn't. And so it gave me thought as we prepare for Hanukkah, and I think about my giant menorah, which I'm still going to light and try and make bigger. But there's something special about those small little flames because you have to get close to them. You have to come together as a community to see each one. And so, this Hanukkah, try and draw near. Try and find a way to come near to somebody else's flame. Jonathan Sacks, when he quoted that line and made this connection, did it in a book about overcoming animosity towards other people. Perhaps in order to engage with somebody, we have to overcome the animosity. We have to draw close to be able to see the little small flame dancing that invites us in. Shabbat Shalom and Chanukah Sameach.